Call Materia Toure.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I just want to take a short call on behalf of the Green Party on this legislation. We are supporting it to Select Committee. There are some issues that I just want to briefly explore, but the overall purpose of providing a third emblem that enables these agencies that provide huge humanitarian work to communities who are under great siege is an important thing, and if it means better and safer access of those agencies to communities that need it around the globe and of those people to those agencies, then that's a good thing. There are a couple of issues that I would raise, sir. One, John Hayes talked earlier about the Pacific and how this wasn't such a big issue here in the Pacific. Well, actually it is. We understand that the International Red Cross has been kicked out of West Papua by the Indonesian government, and that the New Zealand government has made no comment or statement at all in opposition to that kind of action. It's quite right that the International Red Cross is in a number of other countries in the Pacific where that's necessary. They are needed in West Papua as well. People are dying there through the colonisation and the siege that they are under from the Indonesian government, and yet the New Zealand government is simply sitting by and allowing that to happen without comment. That is not acceptable, sir. Not acceptable at all. Now, I would also note that one of the issues that was raised, and it was touched on briefly by Phil Goff as well, was the issue that the Arab states did not support this emblem or this convention at the UN, and some of the background for that. There are legitimate concerns by those who work in humanitarian areas on humanitarian issues in Palestine that an additional emblem like this may give the Israeli armed forces, the Israeli state, a means by which they can continue the oppression of the Palestinian people in some form. Now, we don't know the details of that. We need to understand that better before we can have real comfort in progressing this legislation. I would expect that those issues will be explored at Select Committee. The overall intention of this legislation is good. There is no doubt, though, that there are areas, like the issue with West Papua, like the issue with Israel and Palestine, that are unsettled, and that we have a responsibility as a Parliament that if we are to progress this legislation, that we do feel comfortable, we are satisfied that those issues are properly resolved. We look forward to hearing from submitters at Select Committee about that. No doubt our MP Kennedy Graham, who's responsible for global affairs, will be very acutely aware of the international sensitivities that arise out of this legislation and its progression. Thank you, sir.
The Honourable Tau Hanari.
Speaker, can I first